clear my throat there. Sorry about that.
We all heard it. I mean, the very first thing we all heard.
I didn't need to explain that. Welcome, everyone, to the Film Vault. That is Anderson. I'm Bryan Bridge. We're your hosts for today. We're going to talk about some movies, which that part isn't unusual. What movies are we talking about? We both saw Fire of Love. We were both assigned, Vengeance, and after midnight.
Had a real effect on you, didn't it? After midnight.
Yeah, it says before midnight right here. I'm reading it.
I had an aneurysm.
We talked earlier.
I was having an aneurysm right there. I don't think I could see on YouTube, but I had a moment.
It's been a long week already.
Oh, boy.
Come on now, buddy.
That's the voice of Avery, our producer, and we're here to bring you those movies. And a lot more mirth. What's that?
The voice of reason most weeks, but this week,
the voice of sabotage.
Brain is Swiss cheese. I was going to say string cheese. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, a fun watch along we had, Anderson, just a few days ago.
It's true. And you know what? I forgot, as I took notes, I learned some stuff about the old Killer Clowns from Outer Space that we watched along with the listeners, and it was a fun one. I think that's the type of movie we should be watching. It's something silly and fun. And
it ended up being better than we expected.
Better than we thought, yeah. But in my research, I was delighted to see that the Chiodo brothers, that's the brothers.
Sure.
Their upcoming project. And it's like
they're still making movies?
It's in process.
Good for them.
It's not just in development. Like this thing's actually in pre-production or maybe even production is a sequel.
No.
To what we just watched.
Killer Clowns?
Yeah. Killer Clowns was not nearly as bad as I remembered it being.
When did it come out? It's
88, I think we decided.
They're finally doing a sequel almost 35
Killer Clowns
years
continued. KKK. Well, they shouldn't do that, actually. Don't do that, guys.
You probably shouldn't. It always makes me uncomfortable when a pitcher has 3 strikes. I mean, 3 strikeouts.
Around for God's
88. Yeah, like when there's like 3 strikeouts in a game, and it's just
keeping track in the outfield.
The outfield, there's just 3 big Ks.
Yeah, 3 strikes swinging.
Sometimes 3 strikeouts, and sometimes it's just like it's like that for like 7-8 innings. It's uncomfortable.
Come on.
It's usually a white man who has the motivation to bring those to the yard.
Steven Chiodo.
John Rocker would stop throwing strikes after that. That's a deep pull.
That is a very deep pull. All right, Dibble might do the same thing.
Rob Dibble.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's kind
part
of
the
like
Nasty Boys.
He looks like a racist.
That guy was a son of a bitch.
Was he? You know this from...
Seems like a nice guy.
All right, what are we doing?
Can we throw Kurt Schilling in there?
The return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 3D. That's a mistake. In production.
That's a mistake.
In production.
I don't see how that could be a mistake.
The 3D part. I mean, Avatar. It's all we need in 3D. We don't need anything else in 3D.
Avatar reawakened my love for 3D.
You're kidding.
No.
Maybe we'll have
You're not kidding.
I am kidding. I am kidding. No, that is not true.
Double negative. All right, let's get to talking. What's up? Hey, Avery, how are you?
I saw some Tar over the weekend.
Oh, did you?
I did in
many weeks old.
theaters.
Nice.
It was. I loved it.
All right, let's talk.
It was on the theater.
It was great.
It's a long movie to see in the theater.
I did.
You saw Tar in the theater?
I did.
Oh, it had you hostage
in the theater, and it was. God, there were some old people in there. There were several phones that went off in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And at the very end of
what is she saying?
The movie. My friends are going to the bathroom, and I'm waiting by the lobby exit, and this very old Russian woman goes, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir." Like, what? I'm looking around. Like, is there like not sure she's looking for? And then I realized she's talking to me. She's like, "Excuse me, sir." I'm like, "Yeah. Did you enjoy a movie?"
Oh no.
It's like, "Yeah, I think I liked it. I think I enjoyed it." She's like, not enough music. I wish there was more music.
Not enough music in the movie.
I thought more music. English second language, maybe no understand. Thought more music though. And I was like, I rather enjoyed it. I had a good time. And then her friend came up and she went, and she's not the woman. She's not the woman. She not act like woman.
No, she doesn't. I mean,
that's fair. That's
part of the point.
I was like, all right, that's true. I guess you don't have lesbians in Russia. That's fair.
That's their takeaway of it.
Anyway, thank you for talking. Goodbye.
It's nice to get that refreshing, like first person, account. Like, oh yeah, this is what people go to movies for.
There's an epidemic of this though. My friend had an old Persian man asked him the same question, and then had him film a video on some social media he'd never heard of next to the poster of Babylon, talking about Babylon.
That's fun.
For some for some Iranian social media. He's just live streaming as like some 72-year-old.
I wonder how the movie plays in
It's,
Iran.
How do you find that to see what he's
I
saying?
don't know. And it was live, and no one was watching. He just went on for 30 seconds live for no audience. Well,
I mean, it lives somewhere, right? I mean, someone's going to
We
see
gotta
it.
find that.
So I don't know. I think old people are really trying to figure it out. I don't know what's going on in the theater, but it's twice in 2 weeks this has been going on.
Eric,
I'll keep an eye out.
who does our YouTube. I'm sorry, I had no audio for the first 5 minutes. I'll get you this clip. I'll send it to you so you can lay it in there after the fact. I'm so sorry.
You didn't miss
I hate
much.
extra having people do extra work. What a unfortunate thing. Speaking of unfortunate things, we also did our Patreon episode, bonus episode, right before we watched Killer Clowns, and I did not do Postal any favors because Postal was on my. It's a good episode too. It was the best new old movies that we saw.
Non-new movies.
Non-new movies, new to us, but they're like older movies. And Postal was on my list, and Postal was a small little movie from 2019, and I really enjoyed that movie. And I wasn't doing a very good job explaining it. I wasn't recalling it very well. But if you recall, Brian, it's about
You
the
tried
guy.
to jog my memory. It
It's
didn't
about the
work.
guy who was very upset with the Postal Service because he feels like all of the
Right.
things that are going wrong in his life because of his upcoming engagement is ruined because of a lost package and or a package not being received there. And maybe things aren't as they seem. And the movie was just a very good film that I recommend. And I feel like I did a horrible job at. So I apologize. I just wanted to get that out there. Also, I've learned this since I saw you last.
I'd like to hear this.
Jihad Rehab, which was my number one movie from Sundance
That's
last year.
got to be a
yeah.
band.
It was my most anticipated Sundance movie on the preview from last year.
Forgot it was number one.
This movie's got stories, though. All right.
Does it?
So this movie, Sundance has since apologized to the world for accepting
For accepting
Jihad
it.
Rehab.
Okay, all right.
There have been
Now I wanna know more.
Last count, there have been over 30 people who have called the filmmaker and asked to have their names removed from the credits
Wow.
because of threats that they were receiving and Islamophobe claims against them and anyone else.
75% Rotten Tomatoes, man.
So she has like a GoFundMe page, and she's just forewalling this movie because she's been shut out, and it's been suggested that like a white woman should not be talking about these issues at
yeah,
all,
of
and
course.
she's been silenced, and it's quite the story. I don't know all of it. I know that Sundance the fact that they came out and apologized because I'm sure they were getting threats as well.
Yo, sure.
So yeah, Jihad Rehab, and they've redacted things in the movie, and they've got like different cuts out there, but she's still out there trying to make it happen. And
I want
trying
to see
get
the director's cut.
for sure. That's what she's
Yeah, I
showing.
want to see Jihad Rehab.
Yeah, when's it coming to theater near us?
So I got an email from a listener letting me know that there was
Official
more to that
website.
story, and I had
As
no
it
idea.
develops.
I had no idea I was going to be talking about Jihad Rehab, because I didn't want to recount my embarrassing story list from some Sundance a couple of years ago.
It
you
just
think that-
played in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yep.
And now it's playing Houston, Texas on February 8th.
I'll get my tickets now.
Do you think this is going to happen to Brian's movie when it hits the festival circuit?
You think anyone's going to care enough to protest?
You going to pull your name
Apologize.
out of there, Anderson? Get it stricken from the
Brian might be
credits?
apologizing to us for having suggested that we watch it.
That's
He
true.
might be like at the mouth of every theater as you're walking out, and Brian's just like, hat in hand. I'm
Apologies.
sorry.
Sorry. I don't know what I was thinking.
Sorry, you just have to watch me for 2 hours.
Please consider the audience score. It's my favorite website.
Okay, so
Okay.
I got that off my chest. I think we can move on, huh?
I'm excited. You can request that the film be brought to your town.
That
So-
seems precarious.
The
I was gonna
story,
say,
the
do it
story,
anonymously.
the documentary is about known terrorists who are captured, and then they attempt to reprogram them from the they've been radicalized in their own country. And maybe I'm going to get threats now. I don't know. It's a touchy subject. There's some very angry people out there who feel like there's people with agendas who are trying to make everyone afraid of Muslims and the state of Islam, and that's not me. I just want information. I want to know what's going on out
I
there.
think they may have changed the title to The Unredacted because that's what the poster says. And they have a GoFundMe with a goal of $200,000. Would you like to guess what it's up to?
I was on this page. So
Okay. 760,000. $760,000.
Really?
Yeah. People want to see The Unredacted get out there.
And I'm sure this is
I like to see it
politicized.
make up my own mind. We did that with Cuties. We did that with what is a woman?
What is a woman? Oh, that's the last thing I want to
It's
talk
not a cat.
about. That's the last thing I want to talk about.
Oh, they never actually decided.
So there's a listener out there, and hey, we like all our listeners. We love you guys.
Yeah.
We're appreciative. We don't sit down in front of these mics or in front of each other and talk to one another unless you guys are out there.
They keep the lights on.
They keep the lights on. However, one of you, you know who you are. You sent me not one but two emails to my personal account, letting me know that you're not real pleased with us reviewing a movie that's, fairness to you, like it's only available one place, which is kind of shitty.
It's true.
I do say no to some of the. So we were assigned a movie. We watched it last week. What is a Woman? Or we Flickfest it. The only way you can see this movie, if you weren't following along, is you got to have a membership to the Daily Wire, which Bryan and I did not do. We hacked it. We actually were gifted logins, right?
It's nice.
However, this is
I looked around on the site while I had the login. A lot of eye-opening thoughts over there.
Did they detect you were a bald white man and give you the red carpet treatment?
They named me VP. I don't know what that's all about.
So both of us were aware of this film, and I was curious, and I think that it's interesting to have a perspective on a movie like this, because how often are you going to hear people talking about this movie that aren't Daily Wire subscribers, right?
True.
And pure conservatives.
I mean, people talking about it, but actually like having seen it, discussing it.
And I do say no. Bryan's not part of any of this because he can't be bothered. But
I say no all the time.
I say no to movies that are assigned to us a lot. And I think I talked about this. And they're movies you can't find anywhere else. And this was close to that, but I wanted to watch it for Rex. And I was kind of curious, to be honest. I was selfish. Now, this guy, this other listener, he's sent me not one but two emails. He's suggesting that we're whores and sellouts, essentially. His words.
That's not false.
And I want to let you know that we discussed all of this at length on our Patreon bonus.
We did.
So if you're a Patreon member, you'll be able to hear us discuss all of this.
Well, for the watch along. We did in the watch along.
Was it only the watch
Yeah,
along?
pretty sure it was. Yeah, because people were commenting in real time.
That's unfortunate. That's a little bit higher. I'm just suggesting that this guy, he's not one of our Patreon members. Not that like people who aren't Patreon members shouldn't have a voice, but I mean,
I agree.
he's all up in my business about movies that we're watching.
Well, I think this gentleman also posted a similar screed to our Reddit page, which
Yes.
I did read.
Wait, so I missed. So he's upset that he doesn't have access to it, or that we mentioned a movie with this political bent.
We shouldn't be doing movies like this are beneath us and beneath the show.
Okay.
And one of the things he said, which is a point, is that what's next? They're going to review someone's home movies,
No, I would say no to that.
and we would obviously say no to
got some
that.
nips in there. So,
But I will say that what is a woman is
Some of that
newsworthy.
review on the tape, brother.
What is a woman is newsworthy. People are talking about it. It's making some noise online. Just because it's difficult to access doesn't mean it's not a topic that's worth talking about. And I would also point out, I feel like we gave it a very fair review. We talked about good things about things.
I mean, we're stepping all over my point, though, which is like, hey, if you'd like to hear us talk about your email and your comments, you can listen on Patreon. But I won't expect you to do the watch along. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and we were fair. And I think it's interesting to actually talk about
not a movie.
propaganda movie, and talk about a movie that's very pointed, and like we did last week. So
It'd be like saying you can't talk about Birth of a Nation. You know, it's like, well, it's worthy of discussion.
the one thing I totally agree with, though, is it sucks that it's not available for people to make up their own minds and watch, and like they're using it. You got to subscribe, and I don't think many lefties are going to be subscribing. But that's the whole point of that movie. It's not trying to change hearts and minds and get people to think in a different way. He's just speaking directly to Matt Walsh in that documentary. He's just speaking directly to his audience, who's very happy to hear what he's saying.
Fair.
Which is
I don't believe there's,
goddamn.
some any conversion attempts happening there.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Conversion.
That's all I have to say.
Transition
attempts. Yes.
Transitioning here to movies, I'd like to hear what the listeners have seen in a little segment we call Fanfliction.
Fanfliction, compiled by the Mitch Burr.
That would be
I
a good
thought
place to plug his new endeavor as well. That
The
involves-
film
Right, here's a good
Vultures, which is a recap show of the film
It's a
Vultures.
podcast. I don't know how long it could
it's like
possibly
what
last.
Stern does, right? Isn't there a show after Stern where they do a recap of the show?
Yeah,
and
they
do a little breakdown.
They fillet him, and I've heard Drew on there a few
What's
times.
this called? I'd like to hear.
This is called the Film Vultures, and he's going to have guests on that are related to the show in one way or another. He's going to run out of guests pretty quick.
Talk
though.
about us.
They do. They talk about us.
What about that?
His first guest was Florence Brummer. I listened to the first half hour, and she's delightful. However, spreading lies. One of the first questions he asked Florence, Mitch Burns did. He was like, "Hey, how are Anderson and Bryan in person?" And Florence says, "Oh, they're so nice. They're just like they are on air. There's no difference. I'm like, what?
I don't like that at all.
What are you talking about? How can I be nice and not different at all? I'm nice with Florence because she doesn't enrage me, right?
He rarely enrages you.
Like if I did a show with Florence, everyone would think I was a nice guy, I think. Okay.
We can't have that.
So there is some misinformation on there.
That is being spread.
Fix that.
Yeah, you can check that out. We're all all major podcast platforms.
That's right. Where we
Film
get fun
Vaulters.
podcasts.
Film Vaulters. Elizabeth Ann Cantu. Ooh, that's a fancy name.
Encanto?
Cantu.
Oh.
She'd be eating with fine china. On Facebook, election, because it was on Prime and listening to some old episodes, Anderson mentions it repeatedly.
Oh, no.
Loved it. Funny, realistic, relatable. I feel like I found a gem.
That's so funny that she brings election to the program because it was
Banned.
years and
That's
years
right.
ago
But
Can't have
now
that.
you're able to.
until
Oh, loophole.
tonight. This week.
Hour number 2. I'd
What are
like
the
to continue
chances-
discussion.
What
on
are the
election.
chances of this? That's really weird. That's strange. Okay.
Oh, is it being.
It might be making a
Safe.
triumphant return today.
Save Daver J. Is there a statute of limitations on the ban?
It's forever.
Is it like a prison sentence?
It's like Pete Rose.
I feel like election's the only one that actually adheres to it because it's the only one either one of us can remember, I think.
Well, Alien is on my and Transformers are both. on
I
my
know
list.
Manchurian Candidate is on yours.
Is that banned?
Yeah,
It
the
should be,
original.
yeah. Every time we had to talk about anything classic, it was always Manchurian every single time.
It's a classic film.
You could switch it over to Facing the Crowd now.
I know. I'm born anew.
Daver J on Reddit. Living. Kurosawa's Ikiru is my all-time favorite movie, so I went
Wow.
into this remake very skeptical. Thankfully, I found it to be a very respectful and accurate English language interpretation, making most of the correct choices of what to keep from the original and what to change. Living doesn't dethrone Ikiru, but it does complement it well.
Oh, nice. Who was that?
That was Daver J.
Okay. That was probably not the person who assigned us Ikaru.
No, that'd be Andrew
What
Martin.
what a lovely surprise for Dave or Jay to hear us discussing his favorite film of all time randomly.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Out of the fucking blue. At Z in Oregon on Twitter, I saw you people. While it did have several funny moments, I found myself cringing throughout this film, mostly at Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm not sure this amount of cringing is healthy for the human body. However, the ending was pleasant,
Oh, like his face might contort.
so I give this 3 stars, parentheses, slightly above average.
What? Julie, Louis, she's great. What I had a hard time remembering her name, but
And you called her Jewy at him first.
Like Julie Dreyfus.
Julia Louis Dreyfus.
Louis.
Julia Louis Dreyfus. See, it's not just like people from outside the country that I have a hard time with.
That's right.
You see that?
It's our own countrymen
Boyan.
and women, too. Beesh24 on Reddit. You people was fun and entertaining. As someone in an interracial relationship, some of this really hit home.
What about Julia Louis Dreyfus?
Yeah, we got her
could've-
quote.
No idea. No idea. You people FVT score is 56%.
Ooh.
Split.
Not enough for me to watch it.
A lot of people who don't like interracial relationships.
Is that what's going on with our
here.
audience? Is that what you're
That's right.
suggesting with our audience? Is that the problem?
I am hurt. Mr. Dan Zero on Instagram.
My God, any relationship you're in is an interracial relationship.
That's true.
Think about
Because you're
that.
such a mutt.
Unless,
Wow.
What
You're
if
not allowed
I-
to say mutt.
what if I
You can say
find
that.
a half white, half black woman? Is that
Ooh.
is that interracial?
Depends on which side of the bed you're on. But that's a tough one.
It's the dumbest answer.
It really is.
Is mutt bad? Because I'm a mutt. And I always said I'm a mutt.
Like,
Aren't we
I think
all
we were
mutts?
talking about black people. You can't say like mulatto.
I don't see color.
Well, I don't say mulatto. I said mutt.
Okay.
That's actually short.
Mutts are the
Mulatto.
best dogs. If you get a purebred dog, they're fucked.
Yeah, sure. They're going to die soon.
Yeah.
I agree.
Of course you do.
Genes.
Of course you would.
Mr. Dan Zero on Instagram. I watched Plane. Why? I don't know. Bought my seats early in the morning. This is a strange start. Bought my seats early in the morning. Nobody sitting next to us. Walk in to sit down. For whatever reason, 2 separate couples bought seats right next to us. The rest of the row completely empty. Lady next to me was breathing so hard during the movie. All I could think of during this time was, what would Anderson do? Why must theater sell garlic fries? Why?
Actually, I don't mind that.
No, when she's breathing really big next to you.
I thought the garlic fries themselves.
No, noxious fumes.
You bring out your phone and you just try and record her breathing, and then you post it later and say, "Can you believe this?"
Make a song out of it.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And then you go in your live stream next to the Babylon poster.
30 seconds to yourself.
my friend. Steve Trujillo on Facebook. Vengeance. Had no interest in this movie until I heard the guys were watching it. Plus, streaming on Amazon, I ended up loving this movie.
Big word.
Ashton Kutcher was a highlight, but the whole cast poured their heart into the performance.
This is an insane person.
And thus concludes the Fanflickssions.
Well, let's get right into Vengeance, Anderson.
Seems like that makes sense.
Let's roll right into it. Vengeance is a 2022 film written and directed by B.J. Novak, starring B.J. Novak, Boyd Holbrook, Leo Tipton, Ashton Kutcher, the aforementioned Ashton Kutcher, Issa Rae, and John Mayer makes an appearance in there. Anderson, who assigned
Tam
to
Smith.
us? Tam Smith assigned as
One of my
Vengeance.
favorite all-time people I've met through the show.
81% of Rotten Tomatoes, streaming on Prime Video. I got to tell you, Anderson, I took very few notes. Mm-hmm. That's either a sign of a very good movie or a very bad movie. Mm-hmm. It's a pregnant pause.
Twins.
That's right. Past due date.
Red Solo Cup.
That was a strange opening.
It was a great opening. However, it's very
was,
dark, and it was really hard to see what the hell was going on. Because
It was very dark.
I was watching it during the day, and
As was I.
I could not see what they were going after.
I had to close a separate window.
I had to go back and watch it afterwards. I imagined what I was probably seeing. It was probably a woman in peril. Turned out to be that. But yeah, it opens up very dark. So if you're going to watch this one, watch it in the dead of night or at least in a dark room, which is how you should watch most things anyway.
That's also true.
Yeah.
I did find this to be a very good movie.
100%, bro.
I enjoyed it very much.
100%.
I can't believe 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Not around tomatoes, but in the context of this film.
In the context of this conversation, because that's what John Mayer and B.J. Novak, they're two bros that are hanging out. They're very New York.
Well, he says it a lot.
And they're both saying 100% about everything. And what's funny is I saw this movie last week, and I hear people saying 100% a lot. And I didn't notice it before, but a lot of people, 100%, bro.
They got
100%.
that from, I think
100%.
Burt Kreischer started that.
Oh, 100%.
He's been doing that for like 7 years.
100%. Yeah.
And that's all he does, literally. Is just 100%.
No, he also doesn't wear a shirt.
100%.
He also doesn't wear a shirt, and he also talks about the machine quite a bit.
Yes.
The machine story, yeah.
Those three things are true.
They're all very true. 100% true.
300% true.
100% comes up a lot in this movie. There's a lot of like poetry and rhymes. There's a lot of lines that come and go quite frequently. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Is it swingers-esque?
No. I'm glad you brought that up. No, they don't lampshade it. They're not doing it like as a punchline or a joke or to draw attention. It's just it's a really sharply written movie.
It's like really well written.
There are themes and things.
Very
and
large
ideas
themes.
that come around. That come around. Please let me finish my sentence.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm 100%.
Themes and ideas and lines that come around again, like that you don't expect in different scenarios. It's a very fish out of water story. So it's almost a darker Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, I was going to say Seinfeld, but same thing. All right, so the setup, here's the frame of it all. And it's a great frame, really easy. Elevator picture, right? Mm-hmm. This guy.
It's high concept and low concept.
100%. 100%. He's a 100% type guy, kind of like beta types. He's living the life. He's a writer for the New Yorker, New York Magazine.
New Yorker.
And
that's another thing.
He's doing well, but he wants more. He always wants more. You know, he's not satisfied with his life. B.J. Novak wrote, directed, and he stars in it.
He's pitching stories.
And yeah, he's trying to get a podcast going. He really wants to get like a podcast. So he wants like an NPR.
That is the height of living.
American.
That's right. You know you've made it.
It's obviously like This American Life that he's going after, and he's pitching this producer of the most popular podcast in the world. And we realize that that's what he wants to do, and his next step in his career. And then he gets this call out of the fucking blue from this guy saying,
it's the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night. He's hooked up with a girl. All the girls every woman in his phone is like Equinox, cute girl. You know, it's all a random house party.
Equinox,
brunette.
This is Ashton or BJ?
Well, this is BJ Novak.
Okay.
Ashton is a very small part.
He has not come into the picture yet.
So he gets this call, a frantic call in the middle of the night from this guy with an accent. He can barely hold himself together. He's crying, and he's just completely a puddle of a man weeping about his dead sister.
This is going to be the worst call of your life.
Yeah. And he tells BJ Novak's character that his girlfriend, or his fiance, or whatever she may be, girlfriend is
Your
dead.
girlfriend's dead.
And BJ Novak has no idea who this person even is or who the girl is. He has to like look her up in his phone to try and figure out which one she is because he's a player. And like, he plays the field. And then he realizes who she is. And she meant nothing to him. He barely even knew her. He went out with her a couple times.
There is a funny line just preceding this where BJ Novak and John Mayer are at a roof party in New York, and they're just drinking and they're talking, and Mayer's like, I'm casually seeing 6 or 7 girls right now, but I always wonder what it'd be like to see like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like that's his goal. That's what he aspires to someday. I always wonder what it'd be like to see just 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of like they're both kind of rationalizing their reasoning for like seeing so many women, and they're apologizing to each other for it, but still like holding it as something good and okay, right? A lot of rationalization going on. So he's on this phone call and he's talking to the brother who's Texas, very very Texas, and he finally figures out who the girl is, and he probably hasn't seen her in months. And he's like, she was like a fling.
He tries to explain. He's like, we just hung out a couple of times.
Yeah. And he's like, you don't have to say that. Anyways, long story short, the brother ends up getting him to fly out for the funeral.
Yeah, because the brother's like, well, the funeral's on Friday. And he's like, okay, where are you guys? They're like, you know where Dallas is?
Yeah.
You know where Adelaide or
Abilene.
Abilene, thank you. You know where Abilene is? About 3 hours outside of Texas or Dallas. Well, we're 5 hours past that.
7 hours.
So yeah, it's quite a journey.
And
so here comes BJ with his fucking sling pack off a 20-person prop plane.
So it's fish out of water right off the bat. And he's going with an ulterior motives because he talks to the producer of This American Life type NPR thing, and he's telling her what happened, and she's like, "That's your story. Run with that. Go out there and tell the story." So it is very Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. He gets to the funeral, and there's actually a picture of him and her like blowing up and framed next to her grave. And he's holding a drink.
And then invite him up to speak.
He was the most important person in this girl's life who came from Texas out to the big city, and she thought that she met somebody really special, but she meant very little to him. So that's the whole setup.
It comes out that she's saved in his phone as Texas, and everyone thinks that's really sweet. Because that's where she's from. That's where her heart is.
So he gets to know the Texas family, and one thing leads to another, and it kind of starts to go down a road you imagine it to go, but there are left turns and right turns. And
we can finish up the setup by simply saying, so Boyd Holbrook is the brother who called him, and he was driving him back in his pickup truck, literally guns mounted on the rear window.
Yeah.
And
he's on the phone. There's a really funny part where he's on the phone talking to somebody, and he's trying to explain what BJ Novak's character is like, or what he's like. And Ty, Boyd Holbrook, he's like, he reminds me of a lot of those people that
he was talking to him. He said, "You remind me." I just saw a Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah, you remind me a lot of that Liam Neeson movie.
Someone from a Liam Neeson movie, and he's like, "Okay."
He's like Schindler's List. You're like a lot of the people in that Liam Neeson movie, Schindler's List. Well, he was talking because then he got on the phone and he was talking to somebody else too.
Okay,
I conflated the two.
I don't remember that.
You're right.
But anyway, so then when they're in the car, they're driving back from the funeral, and Boyd Holbrook basically says she didn't die of an overdose. Oh, sorry, I got to sneeze.
Yeah, it was set up that it was supposed to be like she died of drugs and
didn't die of an overdose.
He knows it wasn't drugs.
I know.
Foul play.
She was murdered. I know it. And he's like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, and you're going to help me find the guy, and we're going to kill him." And he's like, "I got to get back to New York." And from there, the movie takes off. That's why it's called Vengeance.
Then he calls the producer again, and she's like, "That's a great story. Run with that. Be careful. Record everything. Get the story. Be careful." Right?
Yeah. So now we have a movie.
Yeah. And then Ashton Kutcher shows up. He's great. His character
By the way,
is great.
we got good Ashton Kutcher in this. I quite enjoyed Ashton Kutcher.
And he had some of the juiciest lines in the entire script. So
He
ultimately,
really took it seriously.
this movie ends up really upsetting me by the time it's all said and done. And
Why?
It pissed me off.
In a good way or
In a bad way. In a bad way. Because it's one of those movies that has so much to say. It's so smart and it's so now, and it just didn't stick the landing for me at all. We might want to do a spoiler on this because it was like Walter Mitty type anger that I had at the end. Where I'm like, how in the world is that what the thing is? And they're saying so much about people, about Americans. I mean, it was like a really good This American Life posit that they didn't really wrap up to my liking. And It's easily could have been like a 10-part miniseries. I mean, there's that much going on. There's that much being said.
There's a lot of meat on the bone.
This could have been so much longer and long form. Like I see long form TV shows a lot these days. It's like that could have been done in 90 minutes, right? That could have been a good 90-minute movie. This should have been a 10-part miniseries, not a miniseries, just a miniseries on.
Yeah,
Hulu
I feel bad because I'm not going to defend the ending. I thought it was okay.
Can we talk about it, please?
Sure, but
I talked with Tam about it, and she liked it too. But
I liked it.
Does it ruin it? Does the ending make
not
it not
ruined
worth
it,
seeing?
Ruined it bad for me.
Really?
Yeah.
So from your standpoint, it's a pass.
No, I don't think it's a pass.
Movie. I recommend this.
I'm mad at it because it's one of those things. It's like, like you go out with a girl and she's fucking awesome, and then you find out, she's racist at the end. Like everything's great, and then you find that out right at the very end, of the date.
I usually find that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that make her more?
You would, because I think no one can tell you what you are, right? Uh-huh. She might just start letting things fly. Interesting. What is that, Brad?
Nothing.
No, what is that?
I didn't know why that wouldn't make her more awesome. Keep going.
Make it more awesome.
Keep going. I really appreciated the movie. So it's the fish out of water story. It's the New York intellectual amongst all the the rednecks out in Texas. But the movie never. I couldn't remember. There were a couple times early on, but it really resisted diving into the cheap joke. You know what I mean? At their expense. If anything, BJ Novak was the butt of most of the jokes.
Yeah, he was playing a character. He wasn't playing like himself. So. But
I'm saying, like a lesser movie would have made them the funny family. You know what I mean? And they were.
It was vacillating back and forth. It seemed like it was almost inspired by Giant at times. George Stevens' movie from way back when, which absolutely Brock Hudson and James Dean. It was like where they're constantly going back and forth, and that was a Texas-based movie as well. And it's like, who am I rooting for here? And by the end,
BJ Novak is both the protagonist and the antagonist.
Did it feel like an apology letter almost to the red states from the blue states at times?
I didn't think so.
No?
I didn't get that.
No?
I don't think so.
I mean, because it was written.
He comes around. I think he has a certain notion of who these people are at the beginning, and by the end, it's a very different notion.
Maybe I'm missing something big. So I think we talk about this on the old spoilers because what I took away from this is obviously it was okay. We'll talk about this.
Thanks, Tam. I enjoyed this. I think it's a solid movie. A little underrated gem, well written, and a nice surprise.
When did it come out? Did you say
a year ago?
Okay, so it is very recent.
It didn't come out 2023. Maybe 2021, 2022.
But it is very. It's not like it came out 2010 or something.
Nope.
Let's see. It's a 2022. Yeah. Her last movie that she assigned us was Unhinged. So.
You're back, Tam. Back in my good graces.
Couldn't you see this as like
yes
a show?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of meat on this bone.
Fargo. Yeah. Maybe they should.
Colorful characters.
BJ Novak's a TV actor. I mean, maybe they should do that. Maybe they should do it. I don't know if this movie did well or not. All right. Let's move on. I
can't imagine. I barely heard of it. I had heard of it, but it kind of came and went super fast.
Yeah, it did. It was another COVID victim, I think. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
To the next one? What do you want to do? You want to do a little after midnight, or do you want to do...
I like to do it before midnight.
Fire of Love.
Let's save after midnight till...
After
the break.
End.
Hey, why don't we take a break right now?
Quick break. That was real, everyone.
Take a quick break. Please.
Quick break. We'll be back after these words in a moment. Hey, welcome back. Anderson's still talking about vengeance.
I am.
It's going to be an interesting discussion at the end.
I guess so.
But first, we both saw Fire of Love. Fire of Love is a 2022 documentary directed by Sarah Dosa, narrated by Miranda July, featuring the husband and wife team of Maurice and Katya Croft. 98% of Rotten Tomatoes. This is streaming on Disney Plus, nominated for Best Documentary Feature.
Yeah, I was surprised by that because this movie kind of came and went. They really put a big push behind it. It was playing as a trailer in a lot of the theaters before, like AMC theaters, especially before big movies. And
True.
You see that very rarely for a documentary, especially a very special interest documentary. But I think this one had a hook, which was the scientists that were chasing these volcano scientists.
They're volcanologists.
They
study volcanoes.
Oh, I thought it was Spock.
No. I guess they could do that in their spare time, but
I didn't pay attention. I thought they were following Spock.
Never once was there a reference to Spock.
I should have picked up on that. No, so they're obsessed. They're both obsessed with volcanoes, and they come together and they just happen to also love each other. And they let you know in the documentary and then the trailer. I think that it's kind of like the story is framed around the fact that early on you learn that they both were taken out together by a volcano. Ultimately,
they hit that early. So I don't know. I would have liked to have maybe discovered that.
I think that's the hook, though. I mean, who's going to want to watch these two scientists that are frolicking in love looking at volcanoes? That said, if that was the movie, I would have to say that this movie deserves being watched, even if they don't buy it at the end together. You know, there's fucking amazing photography.
I was just about to say, this is some of the most remarkable footage I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I wonder, and Anderson, you might have more insight into this having made a movie, but how much post-production color correction was done to make it that much more vibrant? Whatever they did, it worked. Like, it was some of the most visually compelling shit I've ever seen. I'm trying not to use hyperbole. It was remarkable.
I watched this with my sister, and I got to play the arrogant film guy, but I try not to.
Starring
I hate
Anderson
those guys
Cowan as himself
so much. So we were watching, and she was kind of like mystified at how close. So there's a lot of archival footage of these two getting way too close to volcanoes, and
there's also a lot of forced perspective. Like, I imagine they weren't quite as close to some of those shots.
So I was explaining a little to her and trying not to sound like douche, but I'm like, they have long lenses where it compresses everything and it makes it seem like they're much, much closer. And I even pulled up a shot from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spot with the plane to show her because I like that kind of thing a lot. So they're using a lot,
crushing people's dreams,
using a lot of long lenses.
Sure.
That said, they were in peril, obviously, right till the very end, where they would talk about the bombs that would come towards them from these volcanoes because they would tent out and they would sleep by the volcano, which couldn't have been comfortable. And then they'd take 12-hour shifts of watching for bombs. What are you gonna do if a bomb does come? He was suggesting that he would throw her aside and she would do the same when it was her turn to be watching for the bombs when he was sleeping. They're into the red lava. There's two types of volcanoes, which we'll learn: the red kind and the gray angry kind. And those are the kind that kill you.
You think the red would be worse, but in fact, it's the gray.
You can see the red, and they're much slower. And I was
predictable.
You're talking about it being so vibrant and all the post production. Have you ever seen have you ever been had the opportunity to see lava in person?
No, never once.
I'm really upset because Iceland is the only place in the world where you can actually go to a lava show and they actually heat up like the lava rocks and they turn it back into magma.
Feels like they're playing God.
I wasn't able to do that. We missed it because it was sold out when we went and we weren't going to be there the next day in that part of Iceland. It's in two different places in Iceland. I highly recommend you go because from all accounts it's fantastic. I have seen it in Hawaii though. I was able to see
Kilauea
lava, and it was Hilo. No, not Hilo. It was Kona Island.
Okay,
it was in Kona. It was on the Big Island. Hilo. Yeah, it was Hilo. It was the Big Island. And it's one of those things where you see the lava and you've never seen that color before. It can't be captured on camera. So I think they were trying to get as close as it could possibly be to that color, but it's this
interesting,
strange glowing orange that you've never really seen before until you actually see it with your own eyes. At least that was my experience. So to answer your question, I don't know how much post. Obviously, they have old 16 millimeter footage. Might have even been some 8 millimeter in there. And they're going to do all they can to restore it and make it look as good as possible because this movie was mostly that.
Either way, the shots were composed and
it was all that. It was all that.
What do you mean?
It was all archival footage. There was no talking heads.
Yeah, you're right. It was all interviews of them, because he especially were kind of a minor celebrity, so he would go on talk shows, and discuss.
Sorry, what country is this?
They're French,
okay.
But they were world famous, I guess. And he would obviously go all over the world to look at these volcanoes, they were minor celebrities. At least he was. He was more the talking head, and the composition of those shots mixed with whatever they did to sweeten them up, amazing.
Yeah, I actually wrote down in my stupid notes. I hate quoting myself and quoting my notes, and I always give you shit for it. But I wrote unreal photography because And I went to write that like 3 or 4 times. I was just watching like, how do they, long lens or not, how are they getting the, and there was a third person there, a camera guy, presumably, who didn't get much credit at all. He was putting himself in, or she, but I believe that it was a man. And
I don't know if they ever said.
Did they also die?
No,
because the camera was like on a tripod.
Yeah, these guys were doing their own photography at the time.
They
At the
went
time that
rogue.
they died, but
They went rouge.
they're also wearing the red caps, which I think might have been Cousteau inspired because that was Cousteau and his team. The Cousteau Society all had the red caps.
Did you have one of those?
I never did, but there's like a lot of Wes Anderson in this movie too, which isn't necessarily a good thing coming from us. But like he made that movie, making kind of like an ode in his own way to Jacques Cousteau and the Cousteau Society.
The
aquatic
Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic. But some of the shots that they were setting up for their documentaries and stuff, where like they turn and look, and I know it was of the era, but it felt so Wes Anderson at times, that in the best possible way. Though.
Interesting. I never made that connection. You're probably right. I just didn't come to mind.
I mean, just look at the trailer. Even looks like a Wes Anderson movie. It's bizarre. It's the most Wes Anderson, non-Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen.
You know what filmmaker I did think of, filmmaker, I guess, H.R. Giger, because some of that solidified magma, Giger-esque.
It's very strange. I thought it was like birds and animals that they were finding, but they're just in the shape of those.
Oh, like bats or something?
Yeah.
Chris was watching with me. She goes, "Oh, those bats." I'm like, no, it's fucking magma.
So this movie was released in theaters, and it didn't get much buzz, and people weren't really talking about it. And I wanted to see it in the theaters, but it was gone before I had a chance. I wish I had, and I really think that all of you should watch
experience.
it. It's on Disney Plus now. God,
That's
this
pretty
is
awesome.
So Wes Anderson.
It's funny because the narrative of the documentary is kind of neither here nor there. Like, it's like these two people, they chase volcanoes, semi-interesting. The footage is, my God.
All right, now, there is an elephant in the room that neither one of us have talked about, and I'd be shocked if it didn't bother you. I love Miranda July. As a filmmaker, Kajillionaire she made a year or two ago. That was one of my top 5 movies of that year. I absolutely love it. She's very talented. I like her as an actress, too. I don't know who was asking her to do what she was doing for the narration of this movie.
I swear, before the credits ran, I didn't look it up. I'm like, oh, that's Sadness from Inside Out, who doing the narration.
It was not. It was Miranda July, and it was almost as though they were going after AMSR at points, because everything she talked was like this, and this is not how you would normally narrate a movie.
But she had a real affect to her voice.
I wrote down affect. Bro.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a deal breaker.
And that's a
It
testament
lulls you to sleep.
to the movie, how good the movie is, because it survives that. And I don't want to say I adjusted, but
It's
I
an
was
odd
able,
choice.
It was an odd choice, and the movie didn't need it. It could have been much. I didn't need bouncy. I understand these two people died, and it was like morbid kind of watching.
Hey, I'm Casey Cage.
How many times I told you not to go from a fucking dead dog?
Keep your feet on the
That's
lava
right.
and keep reach your voice down.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like I love the movie so much it survived the odd narration choice. So just be prepared for that if you watch this at our behest, and you guys like this with this voiceover. Hey, what the fuck's going on here?
Get past that.
Get past it.
Or accept it.
They were in love until they died. by
These
a
two
volcano.
lovers got so close to the heat.
That's what it sounded like. All right. You know what? Can we play the trailer?
I did enjoy the sulfuric acid lake.
You like
That
that?
was sweet. That was a pretty cool part.
The man was insane. Like, he wanted to. She obviously, she's the smarter of the two. Katya was much smarter than Maurice, and she forbid him from doing some of these things, or at least said, "I'd really wish you wouldn't take a boat down the lava."
Not a boat, Anderson. A fucking inflatable raft.
A rubber raft. Yeah, he never got to live that dream.
Down the lava?
No.
He wanted
worse on a sulfuric acid lake.
No, they did that. He did that part of it. He and his buddy, they went out on an
Then
acid
his dream
lake.
was to go down the lava.
But his dream was to say red water rafting down a lava river.
But he wanted to be in like a capsule. Remember, he was describing how the capsule would work.
He said that it would be a raft.
No,
Something, yeah.
He was describing how it would be like the.
But it would be a boat.
Shuttle reentry.
But he did go out in the sulfuric acid, yeah. And then they got stuck out there for like 4 or 5
Oh,
hours.
Jesus
Because
Christ.
the winds tripped and they couldn't get back. They couldn't use paddles or anything.
That was kind of white knuckling. I was worried for them.
All right, it's the greatest Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen. That's not Fantastic Mr. Fox or Bottle Rocket. I mean, look at how Wes Anderson.
So it's the third
Just look
best
at-
Wes Anderson.
Watch.
Actually, Avery,
Isn't this Wes Anderson?
can you just call up? Just go to Disney Plus. Can you log in Disney Plus?
Yeah,
here?
it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, just
Disney.
I said go to any point in the middle and we'll hear the.
Is it in the
narrator.
trailer?
Wes Anderson.
I don't know if she's in the trailer.
Who?
The narrator.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to know. Just go to IMDb. I was trying to bring it up on
Well,
mine.
that's what I was saying. Just go to Disney Plus and move it anywhere in the movie. And you'll
No,
get it.
because she goes for a while without saying anything.
Not true.
No, I can play it. Wait.
Oh, we got to get it.
That was it right
we
there.
go.
That was it. On a blind date.
And this is Maurice.
That's not me laughing.
Tomorrow will be their last day. They will leave behind hundreds of hours of footage,
This
thousands
is
of
it.
photos, and a million questions.
Oh, that is.
There's only one
is-
question. Why did they get so close to the volcano?
That is upsetting.
Yeah. They get past that. It's worth it.
It feels very familiar. I'm trying to. It's tickling
Sadness
part of my
from,
brain.
Sadness from inside out.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Phyllis something.
it feels like an
Phyllis.
SNL character
Phyllis.
that she's doing.
Still Debbie Downer.
A little bit, yeah.
Very odd.
She also made me Miranda July. It's not fair to be talking about Miranda July, who's a genius, I think. I love this woman. She also did Me and You and Everyone We Know, which was an odd one, very strange one. But she's very good. She's a good actor. I mean, she got a lot to offer. And I don't recall her ever sounding like that. I don't know if it was her choice or the director's choice. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Let's move on. Let's talk
Finally.
about After Midnight. It's
After
the
Midnight
long-awaited third installment of Gremlins. We've all been waiting.
is a 2019 film directed by, hold on, let me fix that. Hiccup, sorry. Jeremy Gardner and Christian Stella, starring Jeremy Gardner, Berea Grant, and Henry Zabrowski. 89% of Rotten Tomatoes. The streaming on Hulu. Who signed this to us?
Josh Butler.
Beat me to it. Josh Butler. Joshua Butler.
Josh Butler. I'm thrown for a loop because Avery answered my
My
question.
brain,
So quick.
my brain is mush. I had that fucked up on the notes again.
Anderson, After Midnight. It's this is another movie that's both high concept and low concept because you can describe it in a line, but I don't think it does justice.
Okay. I'm curious to see if you like this movie.
Should I just say it?
Yeah.
Fuck this movie. No, I actually enjoyed this movie quite
Did
a bit.
you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
This is the Tex Montana guys.
Yeah. It is Tex Montana. He also directed this one.
Higher production values.
In this one, but not by a lot. This is
No,
very, very
marginally
low rent.
higher.
Yeah, marginally higher. And I talked to Josh earlier today, Butler, who signed this movie to us. And admittedly, we have a hard time. It's hard to assign us movies because we talk about so many movies, and it's like, what movies haven't they seen? It's kind of like the person on a Christmas list. They have everything. What do you get for this person?
right.
So he knew that we had not seen After Midnight. He also assigned us Tex Montana, so he's fans of these guys and Gardner in particular. And this movie reminded me quite a bit of Medusa, the Bellflower movie.
Oh, yeah, I wrote down Bellflower too.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
So it's interesting because especially for a lot of, I think, because men and women, I don't want to do the whole Mars and Venus.
Men do this, women do this.
What is a woman?
What is a chick? Yeah. I think that this movie, it's at least from my own experience, along with Bellflower, these two movies are great examples of how men go through like heartbreak.
So yeah,
Because-
yes. Let me just add on to that. I wrote down the comparison to Bellflower, which is, so they're putting the movie across as one thing, right? So like the hook of this movie is that this guy breaks up with his girlfriend, and while he's alone in his house,
she leaves him.
yeah, they go through a breakup, whatever it is.
It's very different though, because he's in the house and she bails and he's heartbroken.
True,
because
and
she's gone.
he's there alone with only his thoughts,
And
and out
memories
of
of
nowhere, wouldn't you know it, a monster attempts to break into his house every night after midnight.
Yeah, and the local cop does it right in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
and which becomes a part of the movie. It's almost a theme of the movie, just how far out that they are. Kind of similar to Vengeance. Interesting.
So let me bring it back
Parallels.
around to Bellflower, which is, it's about, I'm making air quotes, this one thing, but it's really about heartbreak and love and how men of a certain generation and a certain ethos go through heartbreak,
Yeah.
and falling in love and the whole cycle.
Which I think is very different from the way that women experience, at least from what I've heard from women who I've been close with who have gone through heartbreak. And with the way, I would say Bellflower did a little bit better because it was so raw and there was just so much pain and anger and destruction and destroying things. And
they go about it different though, because this movie tells their story, the couple's story, through flashbacks.
yes, a lot of flashbacks, and we see the. Well, how were you feeling with the wine scene?
Oh my God, I wrote that down too. Yeah, at one point I wrote down a quote. She's really into wine and she's trying to get him to enjoy wine. He's like, am I going to drink the peanut nar?
Peanut
or
nar.
Whatever it was. He's obviously rough around the edges. She's a little more refined, and she's trying to get him to appreciate good wine. And at one point, they're drinking a bottle of wine, and he wants to know if it's good. And he says, "All right, do your swirly sniff test thing," because that's her thing. She swirls the wine and then smells it.
So when she's gone and he's there and he's sad, he's just sitting there like heartbroken, alone, in deep deposits of endless nights by himself with only his horrible, horrible thoughts. And this monster manifests and is supposed to be like his thoughts and like the ugliest part of, his himself and rejection.
The monster
sadness.
may not exist.
May or may not exist, right? And there's some good filmmaking here for sure. Like it opens up with some fairly racy explicit oral sex scene, right?
Whoa.
And then it smash cuts to a shotgun.
Avery, sorry, it's on the woman.
It smash cuts, like in the middle of the oral sex, to smash cuts to a shotgun blast going through a door. And it's like startling. There is a jump scare in this movie that got me as bad as the jump scare got me.
Oh, that was a jump cut? I thought that was just the whole scene.
That was a smash cut. No, he didn't actually ejaculate the gun in
the
door. But there's some interesting stuff here. It feels more kind of like Tex Montana, like they're trying different things and they're getting there, but like it's making Blair, like he's making Blair light, right?
It's a very different direction they go, I think. But in terms of making small movies, off the beaten path movies, yeah, I can see that.
There's a monologue in here that's very impressive, and it goes on and on and on.
There's a long, unbroken, dialogue scene.
It's just a slow push in, and then becomes static, and she is just nailing it. She's crushing it, and they're obviously very, very adept, and they're having a good time making these things. I just feel like by the end, it just lost me. It became a different movie.
Well, let's talk about the end, because I'm going to tiptoe around the very end. Never in my life have I seen a film's ending go from so rote, so basic, like almost predictable, like, oh, that's how we're going to end this movie, to so inspired. I was so delighted.
Really?
Yes.
Are you talking about the song being wrote?
Yeah.
Well, I like the song. It worked, and it also showed another side of him that I didn't know existed as the character or as an actor.
I feel like anytime you cap a emotional climax with a character singing a song so as to let you know how they're feeling, I think that's just such lazy writing. And that's what I was thinking as I'm watching them. Like, really? They're going to end with the guy singing his feelings?
They spent a lot of money on that movie, that song as well, probably, yeah.
And I was like, it fits. It's fine. It's light.
It's funny. We had totally opposite takes on this.
But then the ending changes. That's all I'll say.
It changes a lot.
And I was so delighted.
Okay, good. So it worked for you.
I was so delighted. I had a smile on my face.
That was made for you much more than it was made for me. Okay. All right. I just didn't get it. I think maybe I just didn't get what they were. I didn't get to go where you went, which is unfortunate for me. I was like, I would have been fine with.
Were you enjoying the song ending?
I didn't mind. I liked his performance. I liked seeing a different side of him. You know what I mean? Pulling it off and knowing that side. It was kind of a left turn. I didn't know that character had that in him. I didn't know that the actor, Jeremy Gardner, could actually do that either. I didn't know. It was a revelation.
Okay.
I didn't
you
mind
didn't
it.
know he could sing off key?
I didn't like the people at the table too much. There was a little bit too... Brian, you and your goddamn music. Become a music star. Drop of a hat.
It wasn't about the performance. It was. It doesn't matter. The ending really worked for me.
After midnight. You can see this. Where do we see
It's very
this?
short, too. Isn't it like 90 minutes or something? 93.
I think it's like just under 90 minutes. Where do we see this? Where can people find
See
this?
it on
Hulu. Or Shudder.
Hullabaloo. All right.
Or if you have YouTube Prime Time, whatever that is.
I have YouTube Premium. Is that a different thing?
This says YouTube Prime Time.
I've never ever
subscription.
Heard of that.
Primal.
Oh, I wonder if that's an extension of YouTube TV. That would make sense.
Unclear.
You know what I mean? Like if you have YouTube TV, you want to add like premium channels or something.
All right. We are going to be watching
Oh, we have more?
next week. We're going to be watching a movie for Tim Mazurek. Tim Mazurek. Don't make me say that. Wait, Brian, you don't let me do this part of it. Tim Mazurek comes to us with his second pick. Mazurek. I think it is Mazurek, and I knew that from last time. Sorry,
I was joking. I think it's Mazurek.
I think it's Mazurek. Tim, I apologize. We'll find this out when I talk to you on the phone. Night in Paradise is what we'll be watching for Tim.
I've seen
Write that down. And then for Matt Rixner,
we're doing two?
We'll be watching Dark Passage.
We got to throttle this shit, man. We got Oscar movies.
Because I don't assign you movies.
We got Oscar movies.
This is all your fault. All right? Brian?
Let's do one.
This is what you get for going to the hospital.
I'm really paying the price.
Brian, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 movies.
Good. We got the next 4 months all settled.
We owe people.
One movie a week. Come on.
No, but there's more always coming. It's like the fucking mail. It never ends, Brian.
We should.
We're catching up.
We'll do one a week until the Oscars, and then we can.
How many weeks have we come in here and I'm ready to go, and you're like, "Oh, we were doing a movie for a listener last week." I'm sorry, I forgot.
I want it so badly to be true that we're doing one.
Which one do you watch Oscars?
Which one do you want?
It's not that important.
Which one do you want?
We're doing two.
No, we're not.
All right. Well, then I'll just do both.
I think the listener would feel cheated.
They probably would.
That's not part of the deal. We get sued for fraud.
Okay, so we're going to do Night in Paradise for Tim, and for Matt, we're doing Dark Passage. All right.
I don't think that's how it works.
And then I don't know if After Sun is up for any awards, so you may not see this one, but I saw After Sun, which I will be bringing to the program next week, and I think this one might be sticking with me.
Really? In a good way?
Yeah. And I had no idea. It's one of these movies while I was watching it, and I'm like, this is not... Oh, it is nominated for an Oscar, so you're going to have to watch this.
I know. We got to see it to Leslie.
Is it best performance on an actor?
Best actor, I believe.
Okay. Paul? Really? That's shocking to me. That kind of shocks me. He was good, but his daughter was fucking amazing. All right. Yeah. After Sun is a movie that while I was watching, I'm like, I don't know. And I just can't stop thinking about this goddamn movie. I don't know if you should see this movie, Brian.
Why is that?
I don't know. It might be a little bit too personal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I won't see it.
It might hit you hard. Harder than me.
Is it about a bald cancer survivor?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Well, then, thanks for the heads up.
It's a good comp for your movie.
Is it about me?
No, you got it. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be doing After Sun next week, as well as Night in Paradise and
we can't do
Dark
two.
Passage.
No.
Oh no, we are doing two.
Let's choose one.
We've owed Matt since June.
Well, let's do his then.
We've owed Tim since May. Brian, we're doing these, all right?
Dark Passage.
You don't have a job. Sit down and watch two goddamn movies.
It's not about the time.
Bring in 4 if you need to.
It has nothing to do with the time.
It's explicitly his job to watch those.
Is it dark?
That is your job.
1947
You're
film?
essentially telling the guy who runs the show, your boss, to an effect, no, I don't want to do all that work.
It has nothing to do with the work.
Your listeners are your boss.
I've got movies stacked up to talk about, like Oscar films. I'd already seen Fire of Love. I got movies stacked. Dark Passage is 1947.
He was very defiant. And he had every right to be.
He's very put out.
He had every right to be.
Dark Passage 1947?
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
All right, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's wrap this fucker up.
Is it in 3D?
Bogey. I like this.
Brian, I don't know what to tell you.
Pimp Olympics?
That is what the song is, yes. How'd you know that?
You listen to a lot of this looking for music
everything.
for Laughs at Brian, right?
Yeah, this was featured with Laughs at Brian.
I like how you just call it that.
Well, that's the name of the event.
Laughs at Brian?
Oh, Laughs with Bald Brian.
No, but I thought I heard it.
I
Did they
thought
say
he said
Laughs at
ad.
Brian? I always call it Laughs at Brian, and you...
Maybe I
think
Freudian slip.
Nice. Oh, Laughs at Brian, because we did do a lot of laughing that night.
At me? Ooh, the rebooting King of the Hill. I submitted Frank Hill.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they really?
I submitted Frank Hill.
I heard that part. I mean, I blew past it because I don't like to hear that, but... All right, let's get out of here.
Damn it, brother.
Come on, Brian.
You barely reacted.
I don't want to hear it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Thank you, Tam Smith, for the assignment of Vengeance. Thank you, Josh Butler, for the assignment of Fire of Love. Hey, coming up later in a couple days, if you're not listening to this all at once, Top 5 Fits, assigned by Jake Werner. So enjoy. That was a fruitful topic.
It's a good one. Fits. It's like tantrums, like people throwing tantrums
Fits
in movies.
rage.
And we're doing dudes. We're just doing dudes. We'll do the late.
Okay.
Talked about this in real time on the show. Oh no, Brian, really?
I got no ladies.
He's busy.
I got no women.
How many times have you said that?
It's the story of my life. It's the title of the documentary.
Parents would just hear him
That's right.
screaming in his room. I have no women. He's doing it again, honey. He's just screaming about his lack
Let
of
him get it
ladies.
out. Thanks, a funk band named Machete. You're listening to them right now. Check them out at AndersonBryan.com. AndersonBryan.com has the Amazon link at the top of the page. If you want to tap that before you do your shopping, it will cost you nothing and will help us out just a little bit. Instagram, Anderson and Bryan. Facebook.com. The Film Vault. Twitter, The Film Vault. YouTube, The Film Vault Podcast. TikTok, Anderson and Bryan. I guess our grouping these a little better. Thank you to all of our Patreon listeners. Check out the watch along if you're at that level. It was a lot of fun. It ended up being a fun movie. Thanks, Giovanni. Thanks, Mitch Burns. Thanks, Mike Cole. Thanks, Eric Kath. Addie's Antiques is alive and well, posting things on the reg over there. Invade the Decade is Avery's podcast. Any more dates coming up?
I have no women.
Next week.
Well, next week? We should. You want to mention it?
February 10th, I will be opening for a burlesque show.
Nice.
Yeah. I
Nice.
will not be doing burlesque, but I will be doing the laughs. I believe it's with the Dollface Dames, at Dollface Dames on Instagram.
I love them. Love them. Check that out. And until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh. We do it for Van Gogh. I'm doing Judy.